Welcome back to the Explainer Focus Learners. Okay, so if you've ever felt completely bogged down by heavy, tedious calculations during a quantitative exam, well, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're totally transforming your quantitative aptitude speed. We are taking this ultimate quantitative shortcut guide and breaking it down into a highly visual, structured system. By the end of this explainer, I promise you, you're going to look at numbers in a completely different way.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got a really rigorous roadmap to get through today. First up, we'll look at the calculator time trap. Then, we'll unpack the magic fraction table. After that, we'll master the core shortcuts, tackle some real exam-level problems, and wrap it all up with a solid 7-day practice plan. Let's get to it. Starting right off with Section 1, the calculator time trap. So, before we can actually get faster, we have to recognize the ultimate boss of competitive exams. And spoiler alert, it's not the math itself. It's running out of time. Just look at this stark contrast. Doing math the traditional way, the way we all learned in grade school, is literally a trap when you're on the clock. A calculator approach often eats up about 2 minutes of precious exam time. You're writing down steps, you're shifting decimals around, grinding through long multiplication. But the shortcut approach we're outlining today, it cuts all of that down to about 15 seconds. Seriously, if you're calculating the traditional way, you are just giving away free points. Now, I really want you to internalize this massive paradigm shift. Here it is. Percentages are not mathematics, they are translation. Every single percentage problem you face is simply asking you to decode a sentence into a clean, simple equation. We aren't doing complex math here, we're just translating words into immediate answers. It's like a giant puzzle, and we just need the right decoder ring. Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, the magic fraction table. This table right here, this is the foundation of our entire system. Now, I know memorization usually feels like a total chore, but try framing it this way. This table isn't homework. It's literally the master key to your cheat codes. A percentage at its absolute core is really just a fraction with a denominator of 100. So instead of calculating a percentage from scratch every single time, you just memorize these basic equivalences. Knowing instantly that 12.5% is exactly 1/8, that replaces endless calculation loops. It turns a clunky, multi-step division problem into a simple 1-second mental substitution. Now, what's really interesting about this is how insanely simple the memory tricks are for those scary-looking fractions. Let's look at the 1/7 family. 1/7 is 14.28%. Need 2/7? Just double it. Boom, 28.56%. Need 3/7? Just multiply by 3. And honestly, the 1/9 family is even better. They are just repeating multiples of 11.11. 2/9 is 22.22%. 4/9 is 44.44%. You see? You don't have to calculate a thing. You just recognize the pattern. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, master the core shortcuts. Now that we have our translation table down, let's start building out our tactical arsenal. We're going to pick up the pace a bit here. I want to pose this question directly to you. A number increases by 20%, and then that new number decreases by 10%. What is the net change? I'll pause for a quick second. If your calculator brain just intuitively subtracted 10 from 20 and guessed a clean 10% increase, well, hold that thought. The actual answer is an 8% increase. No way, right? Shocking. But this is exactly why relying on raw intuition without the proper shortcut is incredibly dangerous on exam day. Let's break down exactly how we got 8. We use what's called the 100 base method. Basically, whenever a quantity changes by multiple percentages, just assume the initial starting value is 100. It makes everything so much easier. So, we start at 100. A 20% increase bumps us to 120. Now here is the trick. That 10% decrease applies to the new number, 120, and 10% of 120 is 12. So 120 minus 12 leaves us at 108, meaning the net change from our original 100 is an 8% increase. Alternatively, you can use the successive change formula. It's super reliable, A plus B plus A times B over 100. Either way you slice it, you bypass the trap completely. Let's quickly run through 3 more absolute essentials for your arsenal. First up, reverse percentages. When you have the final price and you need the original, don't waste time setting up algebra. Just multiply the final number by 100 over 100 plus the percentage. Done. Next, the golden multipliers. This is a real game changer. Think of a 20% increase, not as adding, but as just multiplying the whole thing by 6/5. A 10% decrease, you're just multiplying by 9/10. And finally, the multiply and divide trick. Need 37.5% of 480? Translate it. 37.5% is just 3/8. 3/8 times 480 is a straightforward mental calculation you can knock out in seconds. So the crucial point here is knowing exactly what terms you're looking at, which brings us to a massive, massive exam trap. The difference between percentage points and percentage change. Look, percentage points are the absolute difference. Moving from 5% to 7% is just a 2 percentage point increase. Simple. But percentage change is relative. The distance from 5 to 7 is 2. But 2 divided by your original 5, that is 40%. So moving from a 5% interest rate to a 7% interest rate is actually a massive 40% increase in the rate itself. Never, ever mix these two up again. All right, moving to Section 4, Tackling Exam-Level Problems. Welcome to the boss battles. It's time to take our shiny new shortcuts into actual data interpretation and arithmetic combat. Take a look at this data interpretation problem. In a survey, 40% of people liked tea, okay? But among those tea drinkers, 25% also liked coffee. So how many of the total respondents liked both? Visually, if you look at it, we are talking about a slice inside a slice, a percentage of a percentage. And this brilliantly illustrates our multiply shortcut. To find a percentage of a percentage, you definitely don't need to set up some massive convoluted equation. Just multiply the two percentages together and divide by 100. That's it. 40 times 25 is 1,000. Divide that by 100 and you instantly get 10%. Exactly 10% of the total group likes both. One-step mental math. How great is that? Okay, let's try another classic trap. The more or less than comparison. A's salary is 40% less than B's. So B's salary is what percentage more than A's? Now, the most common, totally intuitive wrong answer is 40%. But think about it. If A is smaller by 40% of B's larger salary, then B is actually larger by a much higher percentage of A's smaller salary. Make sense? Here is the slick fraction formula that bypasses all that long, confusing arithmetic. If A is X% less than B, then B is X over 100 minus X times 100% more than A. Let's just plug in that 40. 40 over 100 minus 40 gives us 40 over 60. Simplify that down and you get 2/3. Now, checking our mental magic table from earlier, what is 2/3? Yep, it's 66.67%. B makes 66.67% more than A. What used to take a full minute of messy algebra now takes you literally seconds. Finally, Section 5, the 7-day practice plan. Look, it's just not enough to watch this explainer and nod along. You have to wire these translations deep into your brain. So here is your highly actionable training montage. For the next 7 days, follow this precise roadmap. Days 1 and 2, do nothing but memorize that fraction to percentage table, from 1/2 all the way down to 1/20th. Days 3 and 4, focus purely on the 100 base method for successive changes and those reverse percentage multipliers. Days 5 and 6, heavily drill those more or less than comparison problems using the fraction formulas. And finally, day 7, sit down and take a 30-minute mock test mixing data interpretation and arithmetic. If you actually do this, you will absolutely beat the calculator. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. When you sit down for your next quantitative exam, who are you going to be? Will you be the student furiously scribbling away, burning 2 whole minutes on a single calculation? Or will you be the one who calmly looks at the screen, translates the math into a simple fraction, and solves the whole shebang in 15 seconds? The choice, and frankly the speed, is entirely up to you. Start that 7-day practice plan today, and we will see you on the next explainer.